All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast, where a night after getting blasted by the Kings, the King decided to clip the Hawks' wings to the tune of 31 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, just to remind folks that this is still the King's court, despite everyone already planning for his departure. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and your Los Angeles Lakers snapped a 3-game losing streak by beating the Atlanta Hawks 141-116 last night. They are now 24-14 and 5th in the Western Conference, right above the Houston Rockets and right behind the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Lakers are 4-3 in the month of January. So in today's show, we are going to do our typical Lakers roundup of news and do a current temperature check on how the Lakers are doing. And then we'll talk about setting the stage for the NBA trade deadline. And I will give you guys my expectations for what I think the Lakers will do given recent reports. And we shall look at the Lakers' parameters for the season. We shall look at the Lakers' parameters that they've set for themselves this season as it pertains to only going after short-term deals, maybe not even trading the first-round pick whatsoever. So we shall work under those parameters and see what the Lakers' best-case scenario is out of the worst-case scenario. Actually, the worst-case scenario is the Lakers not doing anything at all, but the next worst-case scenario is the Lakers doing something middling, right, or not going all in. But I shall explain why not going all in may inevitably be the right move, even though that's what I know most Lakers fans don't want to hear. But we'll get to that in a bit. Before we get into all of that, if I could please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, hit subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe to your relevant podcast feed. And if you want to help me out in any small way financially, please check out the links in the description box below. Patreon, Venmo, buy me a coffee, anything helps. Or if you want to get something in return for your support, consider becoming a member to the Lakers Legacy YouTube channel, where you guys will get access to weekly exclusive videos. I just released a new video breaking down cap holds and how the Lakers can be strategic about their use of particular cap holds of potential trade deadline targets and which players I think have the best and worst cap holds to trade for at this trade deadline. So if you want to check that video out along with some other exclusive videos, please consider becoming a member, especially as the trade deadline ramps up, because I plan on posting more of the insider baseball nitty-gritty cap and trade stuff there for the members exclusively. So, but regardless, please just hit like, hit subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And with that said, let's talk about the Lakers game really quickly last night. Quick news and notes. Rui Hachimura finally returned from his hamstring injury or calf strain. Actually, I think it was a calf strain. He had missed about a week and a half or so. Rui did not look as rusty as I thought he'd look. He had 7 points, knocked down a 3, cut baseline, had a nice reverse layup. Rui Hachimura coming off the bench and providing the bench with his scoring was much needed, and I hope it persists into the future even as he rounds into form. Last night was also LeBron James' first back-to-back of the season, which is pretty notable, and he almost dropped a triple-double, a 30-point triple-double, so you know things are getting serious, or maybe he just wanted to quiet the noise of whatever the heck Rich Paul has been saying on his podcast, so he decided to play. But yeah, that's notable that LeBron James played his first back-to-back. Also, Kobe Buffkin got signed to a 10-day contract, and he played his first game in a Lakers jersey, knocked down his first three-point shot, and I mentioned it on X, but it was crazy sort of hearing Lawrence Tanter, the Lakers announcer in the background, sort of announce three-pointer Kobe, because we haven't had a Kobe in a Lakers jersey hit a 3 at Staples/Crypto since Kobe's final game against the Utah Jazz back in 2016. And so it was kind of, I don't know, it's just weird seeing Kobe and seeing another Kobe hit a shot at Crypto/Staples again. And it'll be even crazier if and when LeBron James passes the ball to Kobe Buffkin, and we finally get our first LeBron to Kobe assist as Lakers, a day we never thought would come. And it comes in a roundabout weird way, but still pretty cool for Kobe Buffkin to hit his first shot in a Lakers jersey. Kobe Bryant himself would have wanted it to be that way, that the first Kobe after him would hit his first shot. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I'm glad that Kobe Buffkin is on this 10-day contract. I think he might have the inside track to potentially get the standard deal, because we are just days away from the Lakers being enough below the first apron to be able to sign a new veteran minimum guy to the prorated veteran minimum. Whether or not that's Kobe Buffkin, I'm not sure, but currently he's on a standard 10-day contract. When that contract expires, the Lakers can re-up the 10-day, or they can give him a standard contract. Maybe they'll give it to Nick Smith Jr. and then put Kobe Buffkin in the two-way contract. I don't know. You guys know my preference on this. I don't really understand why Drew Timme is on his current two-way. I would just give Kobe Buffkin the two-way contract, and then when the Lakers decide to standardize someone, they can wait till the very last day, which is like March. I think around March 4th is the last day that the Lakers have to make a decision on whether or not they want to standardize their two-way contracts, thereby making them eligible to play in the playoffs. So I don't think the Lakers have to rush in terms of standardizing anybody, especially because they probably want to see what moves they make at the trade deadline and how many players they're able to consolidate before, concretizing a standard deal for Kobe Buffkin or Nick Smith Jr. So anyways, we'll see what will happen. The easiest and quickest fix right now would be just to place Kobe Buffkin into Drew Timme's two-way contract. But with those news and notes out of the way, the Lakers absolutely blasted the Atlanta Hawks last night, which was great to see. 141 points. We haven't had a Lakers blowout in a while, especially not at home. This new year, these last few weeks, it's been the Lakers getting blown out, actually. But if we look at the starting lineup, if we look at these stats of the starting lineup, that is a beautiful box score, folks. Everybody in this starting lineup scored double figures. LeBron James, 31 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, plus 17. Luka Doncic, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 12 assists. He got hot from 3 and had that little stretch where he hit like 3 or 4 threes in a row, 5 of 9 from 3. His trajectory in terms of his three-point efficiency has started to rise in recent games, which is always good news. Luka was a plus 27 on the night. DeAndre Ayton, great bounce-back game for him these last 2 games. 17 points, 18 rebounds. That's insane. A season-high 18 rebounds for DeAndre Ayton. Super efficient once again, 7 of 9 from the field. He probably should be getting more shot attempts. Plus 31, second best in the starting lineup. And in the last 2 games for DeAndre Ayton, he has a combined 31 rebounds on back-to-back nights. And that is the type of rebounding energy and motor that we need from DeAndre Ayton, who has kind of started to slow down a bit. His motor issues has started to creep up. He had been starting, like JJ Redick had started closing with Jackson Hayes. So it's been a nice return to form for DeAndre Ayton these last 2 games, especially last night. Jake LaRavia, after scoring like 2 points the night before, 0 of 5 from 3 against the Hawks, he was 17 points. He put up 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 of 4 from 3. Marcus Smart, after scoring 0 points the last game, he put up 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 of 3 from 3. Very well-rounded line. Was a starting unit high, plus 32 on the night. So, I mean, overall, it was a great rebound game from the Lakers, great collective game. Let's really quickly take a look at the rest of the box score here. Gabe Vincent, shout out to Gabe Vincent, 10 points. He's been good. He's been good in terms of spacing the floor for the Lakers the last few games since his return. And, deadline Gabe. It doesn't hurt to have Gabe Vincent actually remind the league that he can still play. Whether or not that means anything, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, Gabe Vincent is an expiring But he's been playing well for the Lakers, and we have to give him his flowers for that. Rui Hachimura, 7 points. That was pretty much the extent of the bench. Jared Vanderbilt didn't do much, only 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. He didn't play particularly well last night. Yeah, and then the garbage time unit, Nick Smith Jr. and Kobe Buffkin, they were really fun to watch at the end there. Nick Smith Jr. like shaking and baking, popping threes, and then Kobe Buffkin, of course, hitting his first 3. So overall, the ball movement last night, the energy from all of the guys, everybody just looked a lot more in sync on both ends of the court. And I don't think it's any coincidence that that stemmed from, the ball finding energy, guys moving around the court, things not being as stagnant. Everybody seemed to have a way better pep in their step. And the ball wasn't sticking. So yeah, I think, look, the Hawks aren't anything to write home about, but I think it is notable that coming into that game, if you just looked at both rosters on paper, I mean, the Hawks are a team that you would have thought would have run the Lakers out of the gym because they've got Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Onyeka Okongwu, Dyson Daniels. They've got these like long, lanky, athletic wings, physical wings. And last night, the Lakers outclassed them. So that was nice to see for a change because on paper, and we've already seen it this season when the Hawks blew us out without their core guys on the road by like 20 points. On paper, the Hawks team destroys the Lakers in terms of athleticism, speed, youth, etc. But last night, the Lakers outclassed them. They shot well from the ball. They passed the ball well. They ran the floor well. And so good on the Lakers for turning that back around on the second night of a back-to-back. Let's really quickly look at the team stats. Let's see here. So the Lakers, big news on the boards. A lot of this thanks to DeAndre Ayton's 18 rebounds. The Lakers out-rebounded the Hawks 47-32, which is great because the Lakers are currently 26th or 25th in rebounds per game in the league, although they do play at a slower pace. Assists, 36 assists to 30 assists. The Lakers are never going to be a great stocks team, unfortunately. Only 2 steals, 3 blocks. They did have 14 turnovers, and somehow the Hawks only had 6 turnovers, but the Lakers were still able to have a 23-16 advantage on the fast break. So credit the Lakers for pushing the pace regardless. And credit the Lakers for actually rebounding the ball last night. So 57.8% from the field for the Lakers. They played good defense. A lot of that, though, was the Hawks just missing wide open layups and dunks. But again, credit the Lakers for, bringing the energy, effort, and requisite amount of physicality last night on both ends of the floor. So good rebound to form for the Lakers. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say about this game. Fun fact, the Lakers are 11-0 when DeAndre Ayton drops 15 points and 10 rebounds in a game. So take from that what you will, but clearly when we involve DeAndre Ayton and he's engaged, we tend to do so much better. And also, I believe the Lakers are like 13-0 when DeAndre Ayton scores 20 plus points this year. Like they haven't lost a game when DeAndre Ayton scores 20 plus points. So what does that tell you? We should probably give that dude easy touches. He had a couple of plays where he sprinted down the court, sealed his man off. They got him the ball quickly, and he scored very easily. And I think we need to continue to do those. We need to continue to get DeAndre Ayton involved, is what I'm saying. And so again, Lakers are 11-0 when Ayton has a 15-10 game. So here is my main takeaway from the Lakers, even though they've only been 4-3 this season. And I've had a couple of days to finally sleep on this because it's been a tough watch. The Lakers have been terrible in this new year, and it's kind of been a lot of doom and gloom for good reason. I mean, we know the flaws of this roster. The vibes haven't been all that great. Monday night's loss against the Kings felt like an all-time low, seeing Russell Westbrook and Malik Monk, former Lakers of the 2021 season, like rain threes on us. That was not a good look. It didn't feel good. So it's not been great in Lakers Nation. It's been hard to sort of like get our heads above the muck a little bit. But I've actually had some time to think about this. And, we've heard all of the stats about, the Lakers being the only team out of the top 16 teams with a negative point differential. They're the only playoff team with a negative net rating of minus 0.07. Like, yes, we know all of these things. We know that the Lakers, like in almost every loss besides the Milwaukee Bucks loss, the Lakers have lost by double digits. So we know all of these things, right? But I slept on it, and I think I'm in a good place with this team, even though I don't necessarily think they're championship contenders. But I do think we have to add some perspective, because I just want to remind everyone again, it kind of just hit me. This is like such a no dust statement. Sorry, no dust statement. But the Lakers haven't had their team fully healthy all season. And I don't think fans remember that, or I don't think we're keeping that in mind whenever we point out how terrible this team looks on a night in, night out basis. Like, Austin Reeves hasn't played for the last 3 weeks. The big three has barely played with each other. Both LeBron and Austin individually have missed more than a month in separate different periods within this season. And even Luka's missed like 5 or 6 games or so on top of that. And then Rui's missed some games. Like, it's been like a revolving door of injuries for the Lakers. And this is not an excuse, but we're probably one of the few teams in the top 16 who have not had their top 3 players play, more than 10 games. So here's a stat for you guys. The Lakers have had their big 3 play with each other in the same game for a total of just 8 games. The Lakers are 5-3 in those 8 games. And even in that stretch, like, I believe LeBron James sat 1 game after like playing the first game. So it was still a disjointed sort of, 8 games. Like, they haven't played 8 sustained games together in a row. And even that last 8th game was Austin Reeves returning from injury against the Houston Rockets on Christmas Day, and he clearly wasn't right. So we haven't had more than 8 games of the big 3 playing with one another, with the big 3 actually being healthy and working the rust off for a sustained period of time. We haven't had them actually gel with each other to any extent. And yet, the Lakers are still 10 games above 500. They are 5th in the West, just 2 games out from second place. And, people will use this stat as a knock on the Lakers for not taking care of business, but the Lakers are 12-1, 13-1 in clutch time situations. We need to take that silver lining and run with it, because if you remember the last few seasons with Anthony Davis, it seemed like we couldn't win a clutch game to save our lives. And here we are this season taking for granted the fact that we are 13-1 in clutch time situations. That's a big deal, and we should celebrate that, even though we understand the negative caveats attached to that stat, namely that the Lakers are not taking care of business, in the clutch against, even bad teams or poor teams, or they're not putting teams away. But having said that, that's a lot of experience to gain in a season. 14 games in the clutch, understanding when to lock in. I mean, the Lakers are also in the clutch one of the top 5 in defensive rating. So not only are they good in the clutch from an offensive organizational standpoint, but they're locking in and engaging on the defensive end of the floor as well. So there are definitely more than a few silver linings to take away from this Lakers season, even with how rocky and up and down it's been. And even though the vibes in this new year have been sort of, muted because of the lack of healthy players and the lack of seeming, cohesiveness from the group as a whole, and different players sort of being rusty at different times. Like LeBron looking rusty, Luka Doncic looking rusty coming off of the holidays. Like, I think we just need to have a little bit more perspective because, again, Austin Reeves isn't here. Our big 3 isn't here. They've only played 8 games together. They are 5-3 in those 8 games, and they weren't even healthy in those 8 games. So let's wait a little bit. I'm not saying the Lakers shouldn't make any moves by any means, but I mean, the Lakers are 24-14, 5th in the West, 2 games 2 games from the second spot. So it is definitely not as bad as I think we ourselves have been making it out to be, or it's definitely not as bad as it's felt having watched this string of losses in the new year. So, all right, with that said, we are now going to talk about trade deadline stuff. We're going to talk about whether this is a stopgap year for the Lakers. And we are going to talk about the parameters that the Lakers have seemingly placed upon themselves once again. They're going to sound like familiar parameters to a lot of fans, and it's going to sound like a broken record. But I'm going to break down why that might not necessarily be such a terrible thing. And then I'll give you guys the best case of the worst case scenario for the Lakers in terms of if we're working under the Lakers' muted and limited parameters, what does the best version of that look like? And so we're going to take a look at some of the best expiring contract players, some of the best team option players. Essentially, who are the best short-term contract guys that the Lakers could look at who would help them out now, but may factor into their future as well if they end up playing well. So we will get into all of that in a second. But first, we are going to pitch it to some sponsors. So let's do that right now, and I will catch you guys after the break. All right, so I don't have anything to plug, no sponsor for today's episode. I just want to ask you guys to once again, please consider becoming a member to the Lakers Legacy YouTube channel. There's a bunch of exclusive videos, and I like to use that space for workshopping some of my crazy ideas and getting into more of like the nitty gritty stuff of the salary cap and diving into more obscure players, doing some film tape on them. It's a lot more raw and unplugged. If you like that sort of deal, consider becoming a member. It's pretty cheap, and yeah, you get to watch more videos. But if you don't like my mug, then I can't help you there. So yeah, consider becoming a member. But besides that, just like this video, comment down below, and please hit subscribe, help drum up the engagement. One thing I will show you guys is one of my Christmas gifts. So my wife got me this LA Times Los Angeles Lakers book for Christmas, and essentially it has clipped articles from the Lakers dating back to the 70s all the way to Showtime, and has articles that I used to read as a kid during the Lakers championship three-peat seasons, which is crazy because, I used to collect these LA Times, front page news articles when I was a kid, and to have it sort of commemorated and memorialized for you in one book is pretty cool. So if you ever need I don't know why I'm promoting this book. They didn't even ask me to do this, but I just thought it was a cool thing to sort of highlight. But if you're ever looking for a Christmas gift or a birthday gift for a Lakers fan, a sports fan, yeah, check out this, The Basketball History of the Los Angeles Lakers by the Los Angeles Times. And they even give you a customized presented to Jonathan Hernandez right there, which is pretty cool. So shout out to my wife for getting me this for Christmas. Get it for your loved ones as well. So I guess I did have a unofficial sponsor for today's episode. So, all right. With that out of the way, let's get into the trade stuff. 1 second. All right, so we are back. Let's talk trade deadline, and let me sort of prime the landscape for you guys, level set everything. And let's first start here. So is this a gap year for the Lakers? Will the Lakers trade their first round pick? I know I've been talking about the next Mark Williams trade that the Lakers can do. If you haven't checked that video out, check that video out. I've talked about marginal trades where the Lakers can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone. If they decide to use their first round pick, they could probably particularly do this with a team like the Brooklyn Nets, who have several pieces at different positions who could actually help the Lakers. And all of those are nice things to think about. What can the Lakers do optimally with this first round pick if they decide to trade, with it? And if you've watched any of my videos, you would know, I'm a Moneyball sort of guy. I'm not always looking for the flashy superstar sort of player. I'm trying to kill two or three birds with one stone, as I mentioned. And I think the Lakers can do a lot with that first round pick. But I can't do anything if they're not willing to trade that first round pick. Having said that, I think it was a different story when we traded the first last season, right after the Luka Doncic trade. We traded the first, a pick swap in Dalton Connect for Mark Williams, and that was a surprising deal. And I think the Lakers doing that sort of gave me some confidence that, like, okay, so we're not scared to trade that first. But obviously we rescinded that deal, and we rescinded it for more reasons than just Mark Williams being a long-term injury concern. I think we also realized that was a huge overpay and we would not have any assets. And so now that we are at the trade deadline, I mean, you guys have heard it from, recent articles. And again, this is not an excuse. This is not some sort of, I'm not trying to say like, oh, Rob Pelinka is right to do that. This has nothing to do with Rob Pelinka. If you replace Rob Pelinka with another GM, I think this GM would probably do the same thing. But now that we're at the trade deadline and we are just 6 months away from not only the Lakers being able to trade 3 firsts instead of 1, because on draft night, we'll be able to trade the 2026 first along with the 2031 first or 2032, and then the next first after that. So we will be able to trade 3 firsts on draft night. So we're talking about trading 1 first versus 3 in a couple months' time. But on top of that, not only that, but we are also 6 months away from, and I'm not saying I want this to happen, but we are also 6 months away from LeBron James potentially not being on the roster, LeBron James potentially not being a Laker. And what that means is potentially upwards of $53 million in cap space. And so if the Lakers really want to optimize how they reset this thing around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, it does not make too much sense to trade a first round pick for half measure stopgap guys, because then you've sort of used up one of your picks. Now you'll have 2 picks come draft night to trade, but you could do so much more with 3 firsts is what I'm trying to say. But that's not even talking about, trading for a superstar. We are entering a period this summer when the Lakers roster is going to look vastly different, because I think the Lakers are going to tear this down to the studs. And if they want to build this properly around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, they can't have sort of middling holdovers from the last season. Like, let's say we do trade for like a Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba, and we're stuck with them next season. Then we're entering almost another gap year because we weren't able to reset things correctly this summer. And so that's why I'm sort of saying, and why the Lakers have already said they're willing to trade their first round pick for a guy like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Peyton Watson, even a guy like Toumani Camara from the Portland Trailblazers. They're willing to probably trade that first for those types of guys that they see as future core pieces moving forward. But barring those types of players, I don't think they're going to trade their first round pick for a Brooklyn Nets package of Day'Ron Sharpe, Zaire Williams, and Terrence Mann. As much as I would like them to do that, they're not going to trade their first for a Chicago Bulls package of Ayo Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, and Patrick Williams or something like that. So again, these are all trade packages that I've sort of advocated for because I believe that it would help the Lakers now. And while it would, I don't think it's optimal if we are really trying to till the soil properly for a Luka reset this summer, which is what I think the Lakers are angling for. So having said that, I think I'm now in the line of thinking that I don't think the Lakers will trade their first round pick this deadline, barring something crazy, obviously. And something crazy did happen last trade deadline. So yeah, we'll see. And I definitely don't think, on top of the Lakers not trading their first round pick, I definitely don't think that they will trade it for anyone with a long-term deal that eats into their cap space this summer. when they're projected to have, again, upwards of $53 to $56 million, depending on what LeBron James wants to do. And again, I think that makes sense for the Lakers to wait till they can have their optimal package set. And I know fans don't want to hear that because that's what the Lakers have been saying every season. And that has led to, Rob sort of failing the end of the LeBron and AD era by always sort of kicking the can down the road. And all that is true. All that can be true. But also by waiting, Rob was actually able to pull off the rare page turn into the next era by trading for Luka Doncic. Because remember, he used the 2029 first that fans wanted him to trade in previous transaction cycles for DFS and Royce O'Neal. Remember those D'Lo plus 2029 first for Bruce Brown or Rui Hachimura and the 2029 first for Jeremy Grant? Rob Pelinka didn't do those dumbass deals. He instead took that 2029 first and traded for Luka Doncic. So in some ways, Rob was wrong for failing the AD and LeBron era, but in other ways, he was also right because he got Luka Doncic. And you can say it fell into his lap, but it fell into his lap and he had the pieces to make that deal work. And it just so happened that it was only his lap that this deal could have fallen into because he had the relationship with Nico Harrison that he did. All that to say, I think Rob, regardless of who the GM is, Rob or not, I think in this vacuum of a scenario, taking away your PTSD from former trade deadlines or transaction cycles when Rob said the same thing, I think if there was ever a time to say this like kicking the can down the road, waiting for the optimal time, it's now with Luka Doncic, because the Lakers are in a weird in-between space with LeBron James here, with LeBron James still playing as well as he is as the Lakers' second or third best player, but LeBron James also being an expiring contract who may not be with the Lakers this next season. And so it's hard. Like, how do you build around that? I don't think the Lakers have ever been in this situation before where their second or third best player is someone that they want to sort of commemorate and celebrate on his way out, but they're also trying to usher in the new era. And I almost think it's worse. I don't want to say worse, but LeBron is playing so well, at least on the offensive end, and he's playing so well on the nights that he's physically able to, that it almost complicates things for the Lakers. So I guess what I'm saying is the Lakers shouldn't trade their first to build around this iteration of the team. Now, there are obviously deals and scenarios where the Lakers can trade their first where it's not mutually exclusive, and whatever they trade for can help this LeBron iteration of the team and also help the future Luka Austin era. But there are some middling deals that, fans propose that kind of just don't make sense because they only make sense for the vacuum of this year with LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic. And so we can't necessarily jeopardize, our cap space. We can't jeopardize our asset toolbox because, again, we can have 3 firsts this draft night, and it's not all about just trading those 3 firsts for one superstar. It's being able to make the necessary moves that we need to make to really flesh out this roster next to Luka. Like, we could trade 2 firsts for a all-star level player and then use that other first for a starter level player that fits better around Luka and Austin. But right now, we are building this team out with the intention of supporting a LeBron James-led team or a Luka-led team, but with LeBron as the second or third best player. And you can see how that sort of complicates things. So, again, the Lakers have never, I don't know if the Lakers have been in a situation, at least in my era, in the last 25 years, where you knowingly know that one of your best players is not going to be here, potentially not going to be here the next season. And you kind of have to, I don't know. All that to say, a lot of rambling. All that to say is I don't think the Lakers will willy-nilly trade their first for any marginal player that will upgrade them now. And so that is that's where we stand. And so I want to caveat things by saying, while I don't think the Lakers, will trade their first, that doesn't mean that I think that they're not going to do anything or that I'm excusing them from not doing anything. The Lakers should and will absolutely make at least 1 to 2 moves this trade deadline because they have too many expirings not to. And if you look at the Lakers' history, every trade deadline that they have had at least one expiring worth $10 million, they have made a trade. The only trade deadline where they didn't do that was the 2023 trade deadline when their only expiring was Taurean Prince's $4 million. And we all know that Darvin Ham was not going to allow the Lakers to trade Taurean Prince. So if you're wondering why the Lakers didn't make a transaction that deadline, they didn't have expiring salary ballast to trade. And they ended up signing Spencer Dinwiddie off the buyout market, who at that time was the best, buyout market signing. So it's not like they did absolutely nothing, but fans so desperately wanted a deal to happen. They wanted us to trade D'Angelo Russell, who was averaging like 20 points on 40% from three at the time, and a 2029 first for DeJounte Murray, et cetera, et cetera. Totally dismissing the fact that the Hawks didn't want D'Angelo Russell. But anyways, all that to say, if you look back on the Lakers' recent history, any time that they have had $10+ million in expiring contracts, they have made a deal. So I think the Lakers will make a deal with their expirings. Gabe, Maxey, even Rui. They will use the 1 second that they have. They will use Dalton Connect. And I think this is the trade deadline for the Lakers to potentially take advantage of their pick swaps. So keep a lookout for that. Those could potentially be valuable. And if you remember, the Dallas Mavericks actually engaged with the Oklahoma City Thunder about 2 years ago. They traded a pick swap for the Oklahoma City Thunder's 2024 first round pick. And then they used that pick to trade for Daniel Gafford. I don't know if Rob Pelinka is that creative to do something like that, but it has been done before where you can take a pick swap and trade it for a middling first round pick that's probably going to be in the 20s, So if the Lakers can find a deal like that with a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder or another team like the Blazers, whatever team values pick swaps, I think they would be wise to explore those avenues because they are so limited in what they can trade to, get an upcoming first round pick that won't land in the lottery. And then maybe they can leverage that along with their expirings to get some of the players that they need. And so essentially, I think this trade deadline, the Lakers will obviously, this is the most obvious thing. The Lakers are going to try and go out for expirings. They're going to try and go out for guys with team options. So essentially, we are going to try and do a 2023 trade deadline redux where we got Rui Hachimura, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba. There's a common theme between all those players, amongst all those three players. They were essentially expirings, and they gave the Lakers flexibility in the offseason. Rui Hachimura was expiring, but the Lakers had his restricted free agent rights. Malik Beasley was a team option, $16 million team option. Mo Bamba was non-guaranteed $10 million. The Lakers ended up re-signing Rui Hachimura in the summer, $18 million. It's the current deal he's on. They ended up not re-upping Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba and signing Gabe Vincent to the full MLE, which obviously was a mistake. But essentially, I think the Lakers are going to try and do some form, maybe like a smaller version of that deadline where we got Rui Hachimura, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba. I know we also got D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt, but that was a wide scale sort of move because we also had to dump Russell Westbrook. Now, I don't think we're going to trade the first like we did in that season. But anyways, I have rambled on long enough. Let me get to some names. So in summary, the Lakers are going to trade for the Lakers are probably going to trade for either expirings who will become restricted free agents or be unrestricted free agents with low cap holds this upcoming offseason. Or in the case of Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba, players who have team options next year or are on non-guaranteed deals. I have lists of all those types of players. So who are the best expirings that the Lakers can go after? I will give you some pipe dream names, and then I'll also give you some very realistic names. Okay, so let us start with the best pipe dream expirings. All right. Some of these names are very familiar to you guys. So I have every player's current salary this year, and I also have their cap holds to the right of them, because if they have a lower cap hold, that's even better for the Lakers, because then they can take advantage of that cap hold, that low cap hold this summer when they project to have a lot of cap space, and they can retain that player pretty easily. So taking into account cap holds, here are the best. Like I consider them pipe dream, because I'm not sure if the Lakers can actually get these players without trading their first. They might be able to get them if they trade Rui Hachimura, but there's a lot dependent on the other team, being willing to trade some of these guys. At the top, number one is Keon Ellis. He's making $2.3 million this year. He's expiring. His cap hold this summer is $2.4 million. It's almost negligible. He's essentially like a dead roster cap hold. And so if the Lakers are able to trade for Keon Ellis, they don't even need to worry about what his next contract will be, because they will be able to use his low cap hold of $2.4 million, spend whatever they need to spend of the cap space that they have. And then once they've done that, they've made all their spending moves. They can then go over the cap and re-sign Keon Ellis to whatever deal he wants. I would guess it's probably going to be, I don't know, 15 to 18 million. I'm not sure what Keon Ellis will command. I think that's maybe fair for him, like the full MLE to slightly higher than that. And it will not affect the cap space that the Lakers have. So that's why he's at the top of this list, outside of just the basketball implications of things. Obviously, Keon Ellis, 3-and-D sort of point guard, shooting guard defender who hasn't been getting time with the Sacramento Kings. So Keon Ellis is at the top of my list, not necessarily because of his basketball play, but because of his low cap hold, and the Lakers will be able to easily re-sign him this summer. Number two on this list would be Ayo Dosunmu of the Chicago Bulls. This season, he's on a $7.5 million expiring contract. His cap hold next season is just $14 million. By comparison, by the way, Austin Reeves' cap hold is $24 million. So Ayo Dosunmu, very nice cap hold as well that the Lakers can take advantage of. And he's also probably one of the best two-way players in terms of a guy who can not only play defense, but a guy who can create on the ball for you, play make a little bit, is scrappy and athletic. So Ayo Dosunmu, I think, is a better player than Keon Ellis. But yeah, I mean, I don't know whether the Bulls will be willing to trade Ayo Dosunmu and what it will take to get Ayo Dosunmu. Knowing the Bulls, they will want the Lakers' first-round pick and more, and I don't think the Lakers would be willing to do that. But there's Ayo Dosunmu. Next would be Quentin Grimes. He's making $8 million expiring. And I just want to remind everyone again that this is the pipe dreams list. I'm not expecting the Lakers to be able to get these guys. But if they are able to get them without surrendering the first, then that would be great. So Quentin Grimes, $8 million expiring. The problem with Quentin Grimes is, for any team that trades for him, his bird rights don't transfer. So let's say the Lakers trade for Quentin Grimes. If they want to resign him in the summer, they would have to use real cap space to do so, because they can't do the thing where they have Quentin Grimes' low cap hold and then they can go over the cap and sign him to whatever market value deal that he deserves. They will only be able to sign him to like a non-bird rights raise of like $10 million. So $10 or $11 million. And I don't think Quentin Grimes is willing to take that on. Now, maybe the Lakers can do a wink-wink deal with Quentin Grimes where they're like, hey, let's re-sign you to this 1 year so that we can get your early bird rights. And then next season, we'll sign you to like a better deal. But I doubt he will want to do that after taking the qualifying offer this season. So if the Lakers trade for Quentin Grimes, they better be prepared to use actual cap space to re-sign him. So if the Lakers have $53 million of cap space, they will have to portion out $23 million for Quentin Grimes, if that's what he's commanding. So, which is why Quentin Grimes is a tricky one to sort of have on this list, even though just in terms of, on paper and basketball play, he's one of my favorite targets because he is a legitimate shooter. He has shown he can be a playmaker. He is sneakily athletic. And he plays great positional defense. He's not like amazing in any one area outside of maybe being a pure shooter, but I just like him being probably the best all-around sort of player on this list, and a guy who we've seen, if given higher usage, he can average 20 points on great percentages and like 5 rebounds, 4 assists. So again, the complications with Quentin Grimes is the fact that his bird rights don't transfer in a trade. So keep that in mind. And then the last 2 people on this list are kind of weird and quirky. There's sort of my inclusions to this that I don't think a lot of, Lakers fans have tossed about, but they're pipe dreams for a reason. Mitchell Robinson is on an $11 million expiring for the New York Knicks. They are not going to be able to re-sign this guy next year to whatever he wants. Having said that, I don't think that means they're just going to give him away for free because they're trying to do something this year. But in the event that they realize, hey, we're not going to be able to re-sign Mitchell Robinson, let's see what we can get out of him. Mitchell Robinson may become available this trade deadline if the Knicks are able to sort of, have a stopgap fill in for him at center, which I don't think they do. But again, he's a pipe dream for a reason. But if Mitchell Robinson were made available, he's only making $11 million. He would be an interesting guy to trade for, even though I don't necessarily think he would be the Lakers center of the future because he's not that young anymore. And obviously he has injury concerns. But if you can get Mitchell Robinson, that's a defensive center and lob threat and rebounding glass eater that could, help the Lakers this season. And, maybe they can re-sign him this summer to a bargain deal as well. And then last one, this may come as a surprise to people, but I actually like Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter is on a $17 million expiring contract. And if you can tell me now, I think the Bulls value Kevin Huerter because he is starting for them and he's averaging like 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like he's having a down year 3-point shooting wise, but like we all know what Kevin Huerter can do. This dude was like a movement shooter with the Sacramento Kings and the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, he's essentially everything that Dalton Connect hasn't been for the Lakers. And if we can get a well-rounded shooter like Kevin Huerter for just Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect, I mean, sign me up, But again, I don't think the Bulls are willing to give up Kevin Huerter for our crap, which is why he is on the best pipe dream expirings list. So to recap, these are players that I don't think are necessarily realistic for the Lakers to get because I don't think the Lakers want to give up their first round pick. And for some of these players, I don't think the Lakers will want to trade for them because they're not necessarily going to be long-term plays. Now, there's a scenario where if the Lakers trade Rui Hachimura, maybe they can get some of these guys. Like maybe the Chicago Bulls would be more willing to give up Ayo Dosunmu if Rui Hachimura is made part of that deal. The Sixers could actually use a power forward because they've been starting like Dominic Barlow in Kelly Oubre's absence, although Kelly Oubre may start back up for them again. But if we can give Rui Hachimura to the Sixers because they know that they're not going to be able to resign Quentin Grimes, could we do a Rui for Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre swap? I think that would benefit both teams. So there are some, scenarios where you can squint and see where it might be more realistic than not, but, we'll see closer to the deadline if any of these are actually possible. All right, now let's get to some like realistic targets that are going to be maybe underwhelming, but I do think the Lakers will be able to pull these sorts of deals off without necessarily giving up the first or maybe not even giving up Rui Hachimura, their best expiring trade asset. So let's get into my realistic expirings. Oh, sorry. One more guy that's not on this list that I forgot to bring up. Let me bring him up right now. Let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga for a hot second, because I know there was that recent rumor from Jake Fisher that said the Lakers were interested in Jonathan Kuminga this past summer as a 3-and-D wing, even though all of us know that Jonathan Kuminga is neither a 3 or D sort of wing, although it seemed like he was at the start of this season with the Golden State Warriors. Anyways, having said that, Jonathan Kuminga, 6'7", athletic, physical clay, still just 23 years old. He re-signed with the Warriors this season, $22.5 million this year. And then the Warriors have a nice club option on him for next year of $24 million. So this is like the Malik Beasley team option candidate, except it's in the form of a explosive young player like Kuminga, who presumably, if and when LeBron James leaves, could supplant LeBron and be LeBron's power forward replacement, So I don't think we have anything that the Warriors would want, but if they aren't able to get like the deals that they want, maybe they could go to the Lakers and say, hey, give us Rui Hachimura and we'll give you Jonathan Kuminga. I personally don't know whether that swap helps the Lakers because Rui Hachimura, for all of his faults, is a way better shooter than Jonathan Kuminga. Now, what the Lakers would be gaining with Kuminga is just punch you in the face athleticism and explosiveness, right? Which is something that they actually need. But what they lose is, one, someone who knows their role, which has always been Jonathan Kuminga's problem. Like, will he do the necessary things that the Lakers need him to do? Because he's going to be fourth in line at best on this team. You know, Rui has already proven he's willing to take however little shots that you decide to give him. And even in the fourth quarter, even though he's only had 3 shots up until that point, he can still hit a clutch 3-pointer. So you're losing a lot of like cohesiveness by trading Rui away for this dude. And the other thing is like Luka loves Rui. They're like BFFs, you know? So would that shake up the chemistry and would it be worth it to make this type of deal? If the Warriors were like, we'll do the deal, we'll give you Kuminga, just give us Rui because we want the shooter. I'm not sure how much that helps the Lakers, even though there are clearly some things that Jonathan Kuminga does better than Rui Hachimura. The one thing that I'll say for the case for Kuminga is the fact that Kuminga has a club option for $24 million, whereas Rui Hachimura is expiring. The Lakers don't have any options on him. So Kuminga would give the Lakers some actual flexibility this offseason because if they strike out in free agency or whatever, they can just re-up Jonathan Kuminga and say, okay, there's our LeBron replacement and we have an expiring $24 million that we can carry into the season and flip later, you know? So that's the one thing I'll say in Kuminga's defense, because Rui, the Lakers could just lose him for nothing. Because with Rui, the Lakers could just lose him for nothing because they don't have him, you know, under contract past this season. Although I do believe that the Lakers can still enter into extension negotiations with him before this season ends. I doubt they'll do that, but that is also an option. So that's the last thing I'll say on the Kuminga front, because he does fall into, you know, the quote unquote expiring options here. Although he may be more of a pipe dream target because I think there are a couple other deals with other teams that the Warriors will value more than an expiring Rui Hachimura. But just keep that in mind. So with all that said, let's get into my realistic expiring options. And let me pull up that slide. All right, let's run down this list. Here are the realistic expirings that I think the Lakers could actually trade for without giving up the premium capital that they would need to give up. Number 1, Ochai Agbaji, $6 million this year with the Toronto Raptors. He has a $19 million cap hold this upcoming summer, which is kind of high for a player that's like not really in the rotation, but it's because he was a former lotto pick and there's a premium on those lotto picks as it pertains to their cap hold. So, but cap hold shouldn't matter for Ochai Agbaji. If the Lakers trade for him and want to re-sign him this summer, they'll probably just re-sign him to like a much lower number than his $19 million cap hold. I would probably say they re-sign him to like $8 to $9 million, if that. So Ochai Agbaji is there, 6'4", 6'5", like athletic, semi 3-and-D player, although he doesn't have like the pedigree and resume behind him, but he is just young physical clay. I wouldn't say he's super explosive. He's not like a Jonathan Kuminga type of athlete, but he is an athlete and the Lakers could use more of those. The Lakers could use more fresh legs, and that is what Ochai Agbaji represents. And the Toronto Raptors, the Toronto Raptors are trying to duck the tax, and I think they've been trying to attach like a second-round pick to him just to get him off their books. So if the Lakers want to help the Raptors out in that way, they would probably need to loop in the Brooklyn Nets. But not to get into all the trade logistics stuff, Ochai Agbaji is a realistic candidate if the Lakers are able to give the Raptors the financial flexibility or a player that they actually want. Because Ochai Agbaji, $6 million expiring, and it's a player that we know the Raptors are actively trying to get rid of. And so Ochai Agbaji tops this list of realistic expirings. Second on the list would be Kelly Oubre, $8 million expiring, $16 million cap hold this summer. The Sixers actually could use Kelly Oubre this season, again, because they've been starting Dominic Barlow, but he doesn't factor into their long-term plans either. And if they can get somebody that they consider, a better part of the long-term future, I feel like they would make that move because they probably don't want to lose Kelly Oubre for nothing. Although he has been with their organization for the last few years now, so they probably have a good feel for each other. But regardless, if we can get Kelly Oubre, who again, the best ideal scenario for a Lakers Philadelphia 76ers trade would be to package Kelly Oubre and Quentin Grimes together. But barring Quentin Grimes, I think the Lakers should also just try and trade for Kelly Oubre himself. It's like a much easier proposition. The problem is, who would the Sixers want, right? You could do Rui for Kelly Oubre swap right there, but again, it's like, yeah, Kelly Oubre is a better rebounder, a better defender, but he's not a better shooter. So there is a give and take there, and you're kind of like messing with the chemistry a little bit. But there's Kelly Oubre. Next on the list, these next three guys are very realistic because they're very injury-prone guys. Next on the list is Matisse Thybulle. And this season, Matisse Thybulle is more of a theoretical wish because he still hasn't played since, I think he played 2 or 3 games at the start of the season, but he's been out for much of this year with knick-knack injuries. But Matisse Thybulle is an expiring $11 million, and he has no place on the Portland Trailblazers. I almost feel like he has so little of a place on the Blazers, and he's played so little for them in the last 2 years that I think he's more of a buyout candidate. So, maybe you don't even have to trade anything for Matisse Thybulle. Just wait for the Blazers to buy him out. But Matisse Thybulle, because of all those reasons that I just mentioned, is a very realistic target to trade for if the Lakers are looking for a rehabilitation D&3 project. Because if Matisse Thybulle is able to get healthy, he would instantly be one of the best point of attack physical defenders that the Lakers could get. But the big if here is if he's actually healthy, which he hasn't proven to be in the last 2 years. Next on the list is a player who is actually playing, surprisingly. He's been more healthy than Matisse Thybulle, but it's Matisse's teammate, Robert Williams. He's on an expiring $13 million contract. And yeah, at some point, the Blazers have to make way for Young Hansen. Donovan Clingan is killing it. And I don't think they plan to retain Robert Williams past this season. So they should try and get whatever they can for him. And I do think they actually could use better spacing on that team. And they're a team that I could actually see being able to use a guy like Dalton Connect. So there might be a deal to be had there. It would be great to have Robert Williams as a backup center, even though Jackson has been playing very well, because Robert Williams, I never have to worry about his motor. It's just the injury stuff with him, right? So given, how DeAndre Ayton has waxed and waned in terms of his motor this season, it would not be bad for the Lakers to fortify their front court with 3 different dudes that they can rotate in and out. And also Robert Williams only plays 15 minutes a game anyways because of his health concerns. So yeah, I would still try and go to the Blazers and ask to see, what they would want for Matisse Thybulle or Robert Williams, but more so Robert Williams, because I think Matisse Thybulle could inevitably be a buyout candidate. All right, last on this list, kind of similar to Matisse Thybulle, is Haywood Highsmith. He's on a $5 million expiring contract, very low cap hold for next season as well. I think Haywood Highsmith is already in his 30s, though, so he's an older prospect. I don't think people realize that, but great point of attack defender, great professional in the locker room, does all the small little things. He hasn't played a single game for the Nets this season. He's still been rehabbing his ACL injury, I believe. So that's the biggest concern. And like Matisse Thybulle, I think Haywood Highsmith is almost a buyout candidate sort of player as well. So would the Lakers even need to trade for this guy? I'm not sure. If they, concoct or conjure up a package deal with the Nets, maybe Haywood Highsmith is tossed into that for a larger Day'Ron Sharpe deal. But I'm just putting him on this list because if, the Lakers strike out everywhere else and they're like, well, shit, let's just get Haywood Highsmith, I believe they can easily do it. Give the Nets your second. And if there aren't other teams, outbidding you for an injured Haywood Highsmith, I think that's an easy deal that the Lakers can make. So these are the realistic expirings that I think, if nothing else, the Lakers should be able to pull off. Ochai Agbaji, Kelly Oubre, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams, Haywood Highsmith. And again, these are all players who can help them now, but won't affect their cap space this upcoming summer. And they wouldn't be giving up premium assets to get them as well, which makes them prime targets for the Lakers this offseason. Although, they're not inspiring by any means. All right, lastly, let's look at some of the best team option players. So we are entering the Malik Beasley category of this trade deadline. Who is this year's Malik Beasley that the Lakers would be willing to trade for? Because one, not only are they essentially expirings, but they also give the Lakers added flexibility because they can opt in or opt out of their contract next season, whether they like the player or whether they want to use the player as salary ballast, expiring salary ballast for the next year. And as we've already seen with the Lakers snafu with Malik Beasley and Gabe Vincent, the Lakers would have been better off just opting in to Malik Beasley's $16 million, not signing Gabe Vincent to the full MLE, and just seeing what they could have gotten out of Malik Beasley's expiring that season. And also Malik Beasley would have helped them out a whole lot better that season than Gabe Vincent, who was out for much of the year due to injury. All right, so who are the best, or not the best, but who are the best? Who are the team option guys I'm talking about that I think the Lakers might look at? All right, I'm going to start from the top to bottom. It's going to be like the most pipe dream targets and then the most realistic. So number one would be Lu Dort. He's on an $18 million team option with Oklahoma City Thunder. This summer, he has a club option for $18 million. The Thunder will not be able to re-sign this dude because their books are very expensive. It's essentially going to come down to him or Isaiah Hartenstein, who has a team option for $28 million. And the Oklahoma City Thunder also have to re-up Cason Wallace to his new extension. So the Thunder have become mighty expensive very quickly. And if you've been listening in on Oklahoma City Thunder's fans' sentiments on Lu Dort these days, they want this guy gone. He has not been playing well this season, even though last year I believe he was a first-team All-Defender. But Lu Dort, again, he's a pipe dream option. I'm not sure if the Thunder were to trade him at the deadline, they would want a stopgap for him, a cheaper stopgap. And I don't know if the Lakers can get them that. Like, the Lakers don't have anyone that the Thunder would want. And I don't know if the Thunder and Lakers would ever trade interconference wise anyways. But let's role play this out. Let's say the Lakers bring in the Brooklyn Nets and there's a 3-team deal between the Nets, the Thunder, and the Lakers. The Oklahoma City Thunder get Zaire Williams from the Nets to take over for Lu Dort, and they would also be able to take advantage of Zaire Williams' $6 million team option next season. And they wouldn't have to worry about Lu Dort's $18 million that they wouldn't want on their books anyways. And then the Lakers get Lu Dort. Maybe they trade. I don't know what the Lakers would trade, the Brooklyn Nets or the Oklahoma City Thunder to get that transaction to work. But you can envision a scenario where if the Thunder are actually, one, willing to trade Lu Dort at this deadline, and two, willing to trade it to a conference rival, you can squint and see how those parameters might work. So Lu Dort is at the top of this list of team options. Isaiah Hartenstein would also be at the top of this list, but he's making $28 million. And I think the Thunder have struggled in his absence. And if they had to pick between Lu Dort and Isaiah Hartenstein, even though Hartenstein is making $10 million more, I think they would prioritize keeping Hartenstein, even though I know they also drafted Thomas Sorber this past draft, and he's been out with an injury this entire season. But Lu Dort is at the top. Next would be Vince Williams Jr., who's on a $2.4 million. he has a $2.4 million club option next summer. And I would love for the Lakers to get a versatile defender like Vince Williams Jr., who also can randomly point forward it for you if you need. He's had like a random 14 assist game this season, but I put him second on this list because he has such a low contract that to me, it wouldn't make much sense for the Memphis Grizzlies to pass on that unless they have such a logjam at the shooting guard or small forward position that they're willing to just, take on somebody else. But again, I don't think the Lakers have anybody that the Grizzlies would want. And so this is why Vince Williams Jr. is a pipe dream at the top. Next would be Day'Ron Sharpe. Day'Ron Sharpe, $6 million team option. I mean, if the Lakers can get in on Day'Ron Sharpe, who has been killing it this year on a permanent basis like he usually does, but then also when he has started in Nick Claxton's place, he has also been killing it, putting up like 17 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, this dude is not the lob threat that Luka, typically wants, but he is the paint enforcer and rebound gobbler that any team, and especially the Lakers, could use. And Luka already has his lob threat in Jackson Hayes anyways. He could use a guy like Day'Ron Sharpe who actually sets hard screens and at the very least has good hands to catch the ball. And on top of it, will just offensive rebound for you like there's no tomorrow, So, and he's a great 5-out hub and DHO passer at the top of the key who's got very underrated vision as a center. So Day'Ron Sharpe, $6 million team option, would be a great get if the Lakers could get him. I don't think they can without giving up the first. And then after that, we've got Day'Ron Sharpe's teammate, Zaire Williams, also has a club option of $6 million this upcoming summer. Again, because of this, they are the perfect candidates to trade for because they are essentially expirings, but they also give the Lakers the optionality to retain them next summer, whether it's because they balled out so hard for us during the second half of the season, or whether it's the Lakers just want to keep them on as tradable salary for the next year. So yeah, Day'Ron Sharpe, Zaire Williams, Lakers, can you make something happen with both of those players without giving up the first? Unlikely, but see what their prices are. And then lastly on this list, I just included Lonzo Ball, $10 million expiring. He's not even playing for the Cavs anymore. He has shot very horribly from the field this season. I just bring up Lonzo Ball as a hypothetical idea because on paper, the Lakers could use a 3-and-D guard like Lonzo Ball who can run up and down the court, be a connective playmaker for you, but also play tough defense. I don't think Lonzo Ball can do that anymore, but if there was a scenario where he could still do that, it would be interesting to get Lonzo Ball back because it would be such a low-risk move. The Cavs aren't even using this guy. Like Lonzo Ball or Gabe Vincent, even with Lonzo Ball's depreciated state these days, I would take Lonzo Ball. And who knows what donning the Lakers jersey would do for him. Again, would be very poetic for Lonzo Ball and LeBron James to team up once again during potentially LeBron James' final year as a Laker, when that's how LeBron James started his Lakers career off, with a rookie Lonzo Ball. And if you remember, there was that Charlotte Hornets game when Lonzo Ball and LeBron James were the first two teammates to record triple doubles, with Lonzo Ball being a rookie. I forget what the historical milestone was there, but I just remember that when Lonzo and LeBron both put up triple doubles during LeBron's first season as a Laker and Lonzo's rookie year, they hit some sort of historical milestone. So all that to say, Lonzo Ball hasn't been good this season, but he is on an expiring contract, or he does have a $10 million club option this summer that the Lakers can easily get out of or easily opt into, making him a perfect, flexible, no-risk optionality target that if the Lakers wanted to get him, I honestly think they could trade Gabe Vincent in a second, and the Cavs would be like, yeah, absolutely. We could use Gabe Vincent more than Lonzo Ball. So, so those are the best team option targets that the Lakers could go after. And so if the Lakers make a deal this offseason, I would not be surprised if it comes from one of the names in each of the lists that I presented. to you guys today, whether it's the pipe dream list, the realistic expirings, or the team option targets. Because barring someone like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Tamani Kamara, Bilal Koulibaly, name any recent lotto pick who's actually flashed stuff for his team who's still on a rookie deal. Barring any of those players, I don't think the Lakers are trading the first, and I don't think they'd be willing to take on long-term salary, even if it's like an Isaac Okoro who's only making $11 million next season. Because I think what the Lakers want to do is just clear the deck this summer, fresh soil, no middling Isaac Okoro $11 million on their books. They want to have full optionality, and I don't blame them, because if you want to build this out right around Luka and Austin, it kind of needs to be that way, you know? Even though a player like Isaac Okoro won't hamper your future plans, it's still kind of annoying just to have that there if you want like a blank slate, you know? So that's where we stand. And because of that, these are some of the players that I think the Lakers will go after. And this isn't even including, obviously, the buyout market. And the Lakers are usually one of the top buyout market destinations. So, yeah, my prediction for this trade deadline, the Lakers will make at least one or two moves because they have too many expirings not to. And if they trade Rui Hachimura, maybe they'll be able to get a Quentin Grimes, a Kelly Oubre, a Jonathan Kuminga type player in return. But we shall see. I think the bar for trading Rui is pretty high just because the organization loves him, Luka Doncic loves him, and he actually plays a pivotal role for the Lakers, being their best three-point shooter and spacer. So in any deal that the Lakers trade Rui out for, they better be getting back a good shooter. You know, it can't just be like defense again, because we've seen how the Lakers have looked just having better defensive players, but guys who can't hit, you know, the basket or put the ball in the basket. So with that said, I have gone on long enough. This is probably the longest stream that I've done. We will probably have longer streams the closer and closer we get to the NBA trade deadline. Thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like this video. Let's all do it right now. Please like this video. Just mash it. Also mash that hype button on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. And most of all, please hit subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, also consider becoming a member to the Lakers Legacy channel. I do more of this type of like gobbledygook, into the weeds cap stuff in those exclusive videos. But yeah, otherwise, thank you guys for watching. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.